We have about 43 million doses of different brands of vaccines in our cold storage facilities.
On the news tonight, Secretary to the Government of the Federation harps on accountability and transparency in the nation's immunization drive.
This is a character we're looking for in our leaders: honesty, transparency.
Towards sustainable democracy, National Chairman of the All Progressives Congress spells out leadership criteria.
I'm convinced that the Inspector General of Police and his management team will commit officers and the Mayor of the Nigerian Police to reciprocate government's efforts through judicious and effective use of this equipment for protection of lives and properties.
Also tonight, Niger Police receives operational assets to enhance internal security. Good evening and thanks for joining us on the Network News. I am Elizabeth Omori. Michael Olale joins us from Lagos. Do endeavor to join this news broadcast live on our website nta.ng/live as well as other social media platforms displayed on the screen. The ease of doing business reform is one of the responses of the federal government to dispel inaccurate perceptions and mischaracterization about Nigeria, especially in the international community. This was one of the remarks of Vice President Yemi Osinbajo when he received a delegation of Harvard Business School students currently on excursion to Nigeria. The Vice President said it is important to constantly engage the international community to show how the country feels about some of the stereotypes. State House correspondent Jide Onufade reports.
We just had an audience with the Vice President and it was a very remarkable session. We got to understand the different behind the scenes that happen when you make business decisions, and also got to understand.
Daniel Jayola is a Nigerian who is currently a second-year student at Harvard Business School. Daniel decides to visit the country with a couple of friends and also 6 of his course mates at Harvard. See him and his friends in company of the special advisor to the president on ease of doing business, Jumoke Ojuole, after an audience with the vice president. He told me they are essentially here to understand the business climate in Nigeria professionally and culturally.
Nigeria is currently doing a lot, although we acknowledge that there's so much more to be done, but we have to give kudos to the team that has been working effectively to ensure that business has become easier.
And I think overall impression about Nigeria, this is my first time in Africa, I was incredibly impressed. I think the country has so much potential, and it's not only potential but also everything that I've seen about what's going on right now, whether it's large corporations or startups. So much is happening here and the progress is happening.
So I think there's a perception and I think there's a reality on the ground, and I'm pleased to say that the reality on the ground has been very impressive. I've been impressed by the warmth and also the hustle of the Nigerian people, and I've also had the opportunity to meet with several business leaders, and it's made me very, very excited for the future of Nigeria.
So I'm really delighted to welcome this delegation led by Nigerians, bringing friends, non-Nigerians home. That takes a lot of effort.
As they go back, their take-home will be the real Nigerian spirit. And as Oduwole remarked, fortune favors the brave in the State House. Jide Onifade, NTA News.
And the federal government says accountability will remain its guiding principle to all vaccination programs and other routine immunization across the country, using the platform of the primary health care. Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa, gave the assurance at the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency's Immunization Performance Awards 2022 in Abuja. Oluseyi Adiagbo has more.
The principles of safety, efficacy, transparency, and accountability are ideas central to vaccination campaigns, especially the COVID-19 vaccines.
We should be grateful for vaccines and immunization.
Nigeria has been at the forefront of vaccine safety and vaccination standards, and the government at the sub-nationals as well as partners in their own way are playing their part in citizens getting adequate information and protection in curtailing the spread of the viruses.
Let me appreciate the federal government, Mr. President. What we did there, we had no idea was going to be a day like this.
The Immunization Performance Awards 2022 is a testament that hard work pays, and to whom much is given, much is expected. For the drivers of Nigeria's vaccination programs, many believe this will serve not only to create awareness, but renewed commitment to the cause of prevention and control of infectious diseases across the country.
We have about 43 million doses of different brands of vaccines in our cold storage facilities. So there is no vaccine shortage. What we have probably is vaccine hesitance.
We do acknowledge that we still have a long way to go and a lot to do. Our current vaccination rate of just about 80% of the Nigerian population. We are not done until the job is done.
The awards, no doubt, come with excitement and hope for the best, preaching dedication to the cause of ensuring all Nigerians, including children, are protected against vaccine-preventable diseases. In Abuja, Musheye Adiagbo, NTA News.
Away from vaccination, Borno State government has continued to receive attention of the federal government under President Muhammadu Buhari from 2015 to date, including efforts to end insurgency as well as recovery and resettlement process. Mohammed Goni in this special report highlights benefits of presidential visits to the government and people of the state.
President Muhammadu Buhari's first visit to Borno State in the present administration was in February 2020 to sympathize with government and people of Borno over the attack on travelers at Auno village of Kandaga local government area. The president was also in Maiduguri, the Borno State capital, in June 2021, during which he inaugurated 5 different developmental projects that include mega schools, technical secondary school, Senate building at the Borno State University, a vocational training institute, resettlement housing estates, and 2 internal road network with traditional homage on the shore of Borno.
Expedite the delivery of 50 members of parliament in order to ensure the prompt restoration of the electricity in the light of the current improvement of security in the state. I have also issued directives to the immediate cessation of oil and gas exploration.
In December 2021, President Buhari paid another visit to the ancient city of Maiduguri to inaugurate the first and longest flyover in the northeast, built by Zulum's administration, and 10-kilometer road, as well as University of Maiduguri Distance Learning Center and International Conference Center, built and donated to the institution by Dr. Muhammad Indimi. Then the recent visit to commemorate the World Humanitarian Day, during which the president also inaugurated teachers' quarters and more than 500 units resettlement houses for people affected by insurgency, built by the Borno State government, which is part of the 10,000 houses approved for Borno State by President Buhari. With the support of the federal government, Borno State government has so far constructed about 10,000 new houses in 21 communities. It has also rebuilt 50,000 destroyed houses and resettled 11 displaced towns and villages. Vice President Professor Emi Osibanjo also visited Maiduguri at different occasions in the present administration, during which he also inaugurated doctors' quarters, Resilience Commercial Center, Maideribe Mega School, as well as Mungarannam Township and Road Network, and visited IDP's camp. The Vice President also returned to Maiduguri to flag up MSME's clinic, during which he also visited the repentant Boko Haram, where he informed them of plans to rehabilitate and return them to the society. In all the presidential visits, Governor Babagana Umara was full of praises to the president and the vice president for their continued support to Borno.
We have promised the people of Borno State to establish 50 megawatt power station. This project is undergoing and is nearing completion. Excellency, President Buhari has approved the sum of 50 billion naira in favor of the Presidential Committee on Repatriation and Resettlement.
As a result of President Buhari's unrelenting commitment, peace is gradually returning to Borno and the Northeast. In Maiduguri, Mohammed Goni, NTA News.
Okay, let's move on. In a move to check a brewing crisis in the country's aviation sector, the Central Bank of Nigeria on Friday, August 26, 2022, released the sum of $265 million to airlines operating in the country to settle outstanding ticket sales. Confirming the release, the Director of Corporate Commissions Department, CBN, said the government, Godwin Emefiele, and his team were concerned about the development and what it portends for the sector, travelers, and country. A breakdown of the figure indicates that the sum of $230 million was released as special foreign exchange intervention, while another sum of $35 million was released through retail SMIS auction. The Buhari Media Organization has described the completion of the Murtala Mohammed International Airport Terminal 2 as a big boost to the federal government's policy of ease of doing business in the country. The group says the terminal has the capacity to carry about 40 million passengers every year. This, the media group believes, will increase the attraction of foreign investors to Nigeria as well as boost tourism. While applauding President Muhammadu Buhari's administration for its infrastructural works in the country, BMO hinted that the project started in 2013 and completed in 2022 under a bilateral agreement with the People's Republic of China. The security matters, operational capacity of the police has been enhanced with the presentation of about 22,000 bulletproof vests, ballistic helmets, and first aid kits by the Ministry of Police Affairs. Francis Fon reports that the gesture is part of federal government's commitment to address internal security challenges in the country.
This symbolic presentation to the Nigeria Police Force is a demonstration by the federal government to equip police in confronting security emergencies. Police Affairs Minister is confident this will boost the morale and fighting of the personnel.
I'm convinced that the Inspector General of Police and his management team will commit officers and the Mayor of the Nigerian Police to reciprocate government's efforts through judicious and effective use of this equipment for protection of lives and properties.
The tools to work are as important as the manpower. You may have the manpower, you may not have the tools to work. And if you don't have the tools, you won't be able to move better. But with this, I think our officers will operate with confidence that they have something that can be used in giving them protection while in their operations.
The recent successes recorded by the Nigeria Police in its offensive operations against criminals and dislodgement from their hideouts necessitated the need to equip police personnel with protective gadgets in line with international best practices. Francis from NTA News.
Still talking security, more strategies are underway by the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps to ensure that critical national assets across the country are protected. Abrahman Jibrila reports that this was at a strategic meeting with state commandants and heads of anti-vandal units.
Worried by the rising cases in the vandalization of critical national assets and infrastructure across the nation, the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps is re-strategizing towards overcoming the trends.
And the President has ordered that this all steps should stop immediately. And so this is part of the action that we're taking to make sure we implement what the government has said.
Seated here are those concerned with the responsibility, and the Commandant General read the Riot Act to those in charge of safeguarding pipelines, expressing concern over increasing activities of oil thefts.
We are having reports of compromise here and there. We are going to put in the comment of inquiry anybody who is found wanting, who is found culpable, will be very sanctioned. So the aim of this meeting is to draw your attention to some of these observed practices and shortcomings in the operations of the mother court, and the need for a total reorganization and overhauling of the entire development apparatus across board to reestablish the unit for better performance.
In the last 1 year, more than 300 trucks and 200 suspects arrested by the Corps, restating that the standard operations procedures will not be compromised by the Corps. Abraham Jibrila, NTA News.
Away from security matters, following the ultimatum by the National Broadcasting Commission on Friday, August 19, 2022, the Commission has received positive responses from the debtor licensees in the broadcast industry. In a statement, the Director General Balaribucho Ilela said, sequel to a follow-up meeting held with executives of the broadcasting organizations of Nigeria and other critical stakeholders in the industry, the Commission decided to temporarily suspend the shutdown of the indebted broadcasting stations all over the country. You're watching the Network News on NTA. Thanks for staying with us. The second edition of the Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida Legacy Dialogue has ended in Abuja, with public figures and panelists at the event calling on Nigerians to ensure a smooth transition to the next elected administration. Najat Tijani tells us more.
With the broad theme of Issues in Africa's Democratic Journey, the roll call of prominent Nigerians, including former heads of states and presidents, public figures and professionals from across the country, take center stage to do justice to various thematic topics while honoring the leader in whose name the dialogue has been convened, former head of state, General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida.
There are many wise men and women gathered here today, brought together by the gravitas of one of the wisest heads of all, President Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida. So this is an opportunity to share some of that wisdom and to educate and inspire a new generation of leaders for our country.
The dialogue also celebrates General Babangida's 81st birthday and entails goodwill messages from former presidents of the Federal Republic of Nigeria and panel discussions from presidential aspirants and eminent discussants who dissect issues raised by the lecture with a view to proffering practical solutions.
Africa needs a discourse such as this to shine a torch on leadership and policy.
The time of the military, they took the rate of power in their 20s, late 20s, 30s, and they're there till now.
The Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida Legacy Dialogue is also aimed at encouraging students of history and political science to analyze the impact of good policies on the growth of any African nation. The maiden edition was held in August 2021 with the theme, IBB, the man, his vision, his legacy. Najat Tijani, NTA News.
Honest and transparent leaders are what the All Progressives Congress is looking for in its efforts to entrench and sustain democracy in Nigeria. National Chairman of APC, Abdullahi Adamu, re-emphasized this while receiving report from the Chairman, Media Committee of APC Presidential Primary, Governor Abdullahi Sule of Nasarawa State, at the party's National Secretariat. Saliu Guanara reports.
After the June 8, 2022 declaration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu as the APC presidential candidate, the Governor Abdullahi Sule Committee on Media and Publicity is the first out of the 17 convention committees that is publicly making its reports available before the leadership of the party. Although details of the report was not made known to the media, APC National Chairman, however, acknowledged that 20 million naira check was returned to the party as unspent amount out of the 120 million naira given to the committee.
This is the character we're looking for in our leaders. Honesty, transparency, and doing what you are asked to do and giving account of what you've done. I appreciate you for this.
The media then asked the governor how he was able to achieve so much with little resources.
We get the support
of the media houses and all of you, in the media. That's one of the best support that we receive. We didn't receive the same kind of support when I was the chairman of the other committee last year that produced the national working, the members of the national working committee. But this time around, I think we were able to receive maximum support from the media.
The APC leadership promised a strong bond between the party and its members who distinguished themselves in party activities. In Abuja, Saliu Gwanara, NTA News.
Still talking politics, the African Democratic Congress ADC has described as false the rumor making the rounds of an internal crisis rocking the party. National Chairman of the ADC, Ralph Musu, notes that the party is united and focused to face the task ahead. He stated this in Abuja shortly after the party's National Executive Council meeting.
We've held a NEC, and the NEC meeting have resolved that because of the election coming and because of the friction we had after our last national presidential primary, we cannot afford to hold another convention for the interest of the party.
Meanwhile, the tenure of the national officers of the party has been elongated for additional 1 year for administrative matters ahead of the 2023 elections. The National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies is seeking the collaboration of strategic stakeholders towards delivering on its core mandate as the country strives towards improving the standard of its citizens. Director General of the Institute, Professor Ayo Omotayo, was in Abuja to seek ways of realizing the goal. Timothy Yusuf reports.
The NIPS delegation, led by its Director General, visited 3 strategic stakeholders in Abuja. First was the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, where the Institute solicited the support of the ministry in the area of technology.
There are so many growing aspects that India is not in this, but also being implemented. And this is the major thing we have changed in this ministry. All the policies we have formulated have been implemented.
Sent to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, where the need to collaborate in the area of economic and citizens diplomacy dominated discussions.
We want to take your ministry as a critical partner, as a critical stakeholder going forward in the activities of NIPS.
The National Lotteries Trust Fund was the final stop for the team, and discussions were fruitful on various areas of possible collaboration. Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
In other news, travelers plying the Gombe-Numa-Yola Federal Highway have for some time now been having a smooth ride following the completion of Phase 2 of rehabilitation works on it. From Gombe, Abbas Mekan reports that Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Professor Isa Ali Pantami, inaugurated the over 8 billion naira project on behalf of President Muhammadu Buhari.
The federal highway system, which connects economic and political centers within the country, is being handled by the federal government through the Federal Ministry of Works. The Gombe-Numa-Yola Road, which is one of such roads, has suffered serious neglect until 2014, when the federal government awarded contract for its construction. People of the area are predominantly farmers who battled hard to contend with the serious economic losses because of the deplorable nature of the road. The deplorable condition of Gombe-Numa-Yola Road that caused motorists untold hardship for several years has now been put to rest with the rehabilitation of the road.
This administration has given priority and preference to infrastructure, starting from road construction, rail line, broadband penetration, among many others.
No matter what, we must thank God that at least we have seen that today the road is being commissioned
People in the area and other road users will live to remember the difficulties they passed through and the intervention of the federal government.
The road was bad before, but now nylon road. So we are enjoying the road. In a few minutes we will be at home.
The situation was very, very bad. We complained, and we are very lucky we have a listening president. So they took action, and this is what we have today.
The phase 2 construction works connect 3 northeastern states of Gombe, Taraba and Adamawa, covering 66.10 kilometers. In Gombe, Abbas Mekanu, NTA News.
And President Muhammad Buhari greets the governor of Borno State, Babagana Umar Zulum, as he adds another year. In a birthday message, President Buhari applauds the governor's public-spiritedness, energy and zeal in tackling ongoing situation in Borno State, describing him as a reliable partner in the effort to return peace and development to the northeast. While wishing the governor long life, the president described Zulum as a model for others to emulate. We have to pause here and allow Michael in Lagos serve us trending stories from his zone. Hello, Michael.
Hello, Elizabeth. The federal government wants research institutions to synergize with industries in order to make their innovative ideas known and impactful to the overall goal of creating jobs. The Minister of Science, Technology and Innovation, Olorunmimbe Mamura, gave the charge while at the Federal Institute of Industrial Research, FIRU, to assess state of infrastructure. When it comes to industrial research and innovation in Nigeria, the Federal Institute of Industrial Research, FIRU, is the oldest, with close to 70 years of existence. But taking advantage of its lengthy experience to re-engineer meaningful development, the minister said is paramount. He commended the works of FIRU in the processing line, but demanded more collaboration to create a market space for some of its products. This, the minister observed, can happen when the principles of cooperation, communication, coordination and cordiality are embraced among the workforce.
There is need for further funding so that particularly the products of research can be taken to market. And there is need for a handshake between the research center and the industry.
The Director General of the Institute had earlier stressed the impact of low funding for research on expanding the net of its job creation initiative, presently put at 200,000.
Issues of research teams working in silos, abundance of throwing research over the fence, slowness of research and development, and inadequate budgetary allocation. We are therefore calling on the Honorable Minister, sir, for your assistance in addressing the issues alleged.
The minister, however, explained that funding will always be a problem due to competing needs, but wants FIRU to limit wastages and block leakages, urging the institutes to follow up on its job creation drive in order to make meaningful impacts. The Rhapsody of Reality is a daily devotional life guide authored by President of Love World Incorporated and Pastor Christ Embassy Chris Oyakhilome, has been translated into 7,000 languages of the world. The publishing company, while celebrating this flagship product, shared testimonies of its successes at a pre-launch of the Reach Out World with Pastor Chris in Lagos. Adiola Komiakere reports.
Publication and distribution of the Rhapsody of Realities, inspired by the Holy Spirit in 2001, was written in English language with a few hundreds of copies shared to thousands of believers. 22 years after, the Word of God has been spread to millions of people around the world in different languages. Director Operations, Love World Publishing, says the impact of the Rhapsody of Realities is huge.
We therefore call for the global recognition of this landmark achievement in the publishing industry, such an extraordinary and outstanding delivery in the face of complex realities underscores our resilience as a publishing house.
We're not there yet, but we're well on our way, and we thought to celebrate this milestone. It's a lot of work in terms of engaging different nationalities from all around the world.
Acclaimed one of the world's most translated work in print, Rhapsody of Realities is also published in many different formats, including Braille and audio, which is also available in 520 native Nigerian languages. Those whose lives have been touched through the devotional share their testimonies.
Particular special book, over 400 persons in our families gave their life to Christ. And about 20 of them got pardoned within 6 months.
We have Rhapsody clubs established with these people. Every morning, 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 9 a.m., 12 noon, we have this chain where we use this Rhapsody of Realities.
Love World Publishing says it will ensure that no language goes into extinction, as it will continue to take the word of hope around the world. In Lagos, Adeola Komiakiri, NTA News.
Do not forget to follow this news broadcast live on our website at nta.ng/live and on our other social media handles displayed on your screen for updates.
Henceforth, it will be guided by Nigeria's new evaluation model in global reporting on the Sustainable Development Goals. United Nations resident and humanitarian coordinator in Nigeria, Matthias Schmal, believes the launch of a new independent comprehensive evaluation report on SDGs 3 and 4 in Abuja is evidence of a robust institutional framework. Claire Adelabu Abdurazak reports.
That was the launch of the new evaluation report document that will define the roadmap for sustainable health and quality education for Nigerians of all ages. It is an independent comprehensive evaluation of the Sustainable Development Goals 3 and 4, which are part of the priority development areas as embedded in the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan ERGP 2017 to 2020. Goal 3 focuses on the health and general well-being of all ages, especially women and children under 5 years. In evaluating progress, the report indicates considerable improvement made in under 5 and infant mortality, while maternal and neonatal mortalities stagnated. In the area of education, the report indicates evidence of efforts to address barriers by governments, improve enrollment and quality, but regardless, it also says poverty, insecurity and lack of political will remain critical barriers. The report also notes that strategy and implementation gaps persist at multiple levels, while accountability remains a worrying barrier to attaining Goal 4. Participants at the launch believe the report reflects practical realities at the subnational level.
When you go through the report, you know it's exactly the picture of Nigeria.
We have taken note of all the shortfalls, all the areas of discrepancies.
The two reports, as I've already mentioned, point to the importance of significantly increasing public investment in both health and education services.
The report sheds the light on key priority areas to do so, including improving the governance and accountability of the healthcare programs across the country.
The finding of this strategic evaluation support further evidence to improving the right of child to education in Nigeria and show the government at all levels, among the development partner and civil society, which can best address systematic gaps and challenges.
Some of the students give us insight into some of those priority areas in the education sector that would require urgent attention.
If they can add more funds to the school, it will make education better for us.
A school can build smart class for children to use and learn many things. It's not like you can sit on the floor, right on the floor. The government should employ many teachers.
Nigeria is the first country to undertake and deliver independent comprehensive evaluation of Sustainable Development Goals 3 and 4, and the United Nations says it will now become the standard model for global evaluations of the 2030.
And following the suspension of strike by the Non-Academic Staff Union and the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities, work has resumed at the University of Abuja. Odi Ogbo Atotere reports.
For months, this University of Abuja gates has been locked due to the NASU and SANU nationwide strike. The good news now is that the strike has been suspended and workers are back to work.
The Joint Committee, JAC, of the Non-Academic Staff Union of Education and Associated Institutions and the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities, SANU, said it suspended its ongoing strike on Wednesday to enable all parties engage properly on negotiations and reach mutual agreements. The National President, NASU, and National Chairman, JAC, SANU, were on ground to ensure that all staff resume at their duty posts.
Workers of our non-teaching staff, SANU and NASU are on ground working. And from the feeler and information we got yesterday, NAT has suspended their own strike as well.
Meanwhile, the union maintains that if their demands are not met after 2 months, they will be left with no other option than to resume the strike. In Abuja, Odiri Ogboru Arutere, NTA News.
Similarly, non-academic activities have also resumed in earnest at the University of Ilorin, with non-academic staff diligently discharging their duties. Kendi Omolosho reports.
Excitement and zeal were the first things I observed on my arrival at the University of Ilorin, which has been a shadow of its former self as a result of both academic and non-academic union strike for over 6 months. While some embraced one another after a long time of not seeing, some others were at their various duty posts to set the ball rolling and make up for the backlog of work.
We are expecting the staff to mobilize one another together to work.
Their expectations are high, especially with the belief that the federal government will not leave any stone unturned in meeting the demands of the union.
The government has tried its best. I believe we should give room for the remaining aspects.
Whether we are on strike or not, and we're supposed to receive our salary.
Once they have promised us to, we are expecting.
The suspension of the strike for 2 months is to give government ample time to study and find a lasting solution to the issues affecting both SANU and NASU members across all federal universities in Nigeria.
About 8 to 10 demands that we have tabled before the government, that have been signed, that have been agreed.
I want to tell the NASU members that they should be on their duty post and do their work diligently.
Kendi Omolosho, NTA News.
Away from education, in its efforts to strengthen commitment from all humanitarian players, the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development has organized the maiden edition of its management retreats. Ruth Aguele reports that the Minister, Sadia Umar Farouk, declared the event open.
Service to humanity requires sacrifice and consistency to sustain its efforts in providing humanitarian interventions across the country. The Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development is holding this retreat with management staff to look back on the journey and service to humanity so far.
It is estimated that about 7.1 million people are in need of humanitarian assistance in the Northeast region alone. About 1.8 million are internally displaced. So in addressing this situation, the ministry has developed policies and plans that positively impact the victims of this crisis and alleviate their suffering conditions in line with the vision and commitment of His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari's administration.
However, the management and staff are not resting on their oars because of the collective resolve to ensure total eradication of poverty and improve living standards of Nigerians. It is also a period
At the end of the 2 days management retreat, stakeholders are expected to demonstrate effective commitment and strengthen collaboration in service to humanity. In Abuja, Ruth Aguele, NTA News.
Time to take our last break. When we